This is maybe my favorite talk every year that I give. We're going to talk all about New Year's goals. Now, most people at this time of year, they make resolutions. And I'm not trying to be insulting, or I'm not trying to like poo-poo your ideas and what you want to get out of this year in your life. But in my experience and in my opinion, which is not the most important one, but it's the one that you're going to hear tonight, resolutions don't work very well. Goals work because goals are specific and kind of laid out, and a resolution has a tendency to sound very like wishy-washy, and most New Year's resolutions sound like, this is the year I finally get in shape. And then January 1st comes around and they're like, I'm doing it, I'm getting in shape. What should I do? I don't know. I'll think of it, and then maybe tomorrow I'll do something. And they do that for a few days and they just never end up doing anything. So a resolution doesn't really give you enough guidance. It is not directing your actions enough. So when we talk about goals, we're talking about a specific way of making goals. It follows this SMART acronym. So the goals are SMART, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and timely. I also have heard people switch the A for like action-based or action-directed. So the idea is these goals are very well laid out, specific. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. And I think that the best goals are the ones where you know what you're doing each day. So you wake up on a Thursday morning today and you know, my goal is to meditate every day for a half an hour. What do I have to do today? I got to meditate for a half an hour. If it's a resolution of, I'm going to be more mindful and really take care of myself this year, you're like, I have no idea what to do. And maybe you meditate, or maybe you eat some broccoli, or maybe you just eat pizza and watch TV all day and don't take care of yourself at all. So I also like to talk during this time of year a little bit about what I spend most of the rest of the year talking about, which is kind of letting go of our desires. And being free from desire is a really great goal to have. You can have a goal or a desire to have no more desires. And that is really lasting happiness and contentment, is when we don't really have lots of things that we feel like we need, right? Then we already have what we need to be happy. If you have lots of outstanding things that you feel like you want in your life, especially, you know, material things, it's going to be very difficult to be happy with that. And if you have lots of outstanding goals that you feel like you're never achieving, then it's also going to be kind of difficult to be happy with that. So you kind of know what kind of person you are. If you're like I was before I started martial arts, you don't have enough goals, you don't really have a, you know, directed way of going through life. You're just kind of like blowing in the wind, and whichever direction it takes me is where I'm going today. And you have a tendency to not really get very much done if you're like that. Or you're very type A and you get every single day, it's like, I know what I'm doing from the hours of 7 a.m. when I wake up to 10 o'clock when I go to bed. And there's very little room for freedom, for artistic expression, for just like enjoying your time, stopping and smelling the roses, unless you're very good at this, where you can be very type A and you schedule in chunks of time throughout the day to just sit and maybe meditate, or to go outside and smell the roses, or to stay inside and not inhale the ashes and do whatever it is that you need to do. But I like to make that point quickly, which is, make no mistake, if you think that your purpose in life, or what you should be doing all the time, is constantly making and achieving goals, then you will end up kind of caught up in this feeling of, I'm always trying to do the next thing and the next thing. So one of your goals can be, I've had students say, my goal this year is to have no goals. And you know, if you are type A and you know that you always have too much going on, then that is a great goal for you. If you're the other kind of person and you're not really practicing setting goals and achieving them, then you should set goals. So this talk is more for you, the people who need a little bit more practice setting goals and achieving goals. If you are already great at that, then the meditation at the end of the class is for you, so you can just relax and be with your breath. So I'd like to use this opportunity. I know that Miriam's got some goals, and maybe some of the rest of you would like to go through some ideas that you have. this is perfect because Mariam has some things that are kind of goals, but not fully fleshed out. So we'll use this as an opportunity to kind of go through at least one of yours, and then if the rest of you have something you want to talk about, great. But we're going to kind of lay out the groundwork or how you could create goals and then like the actions to start taking. So give me one that you want to share with people, something that you think we can work on tonight. I love it. You're most of the way to a goal already here. So we'll take it a step back because this is where most people are when they start this. So it's like a financial goal. It is, I mean, and I'm not trying to downplay the aspect of it where you're helping people, but let's say for most people, when it's like a career work related thing, it's like I'm trying to do something that furthers my career, most likely in the interest of creating better financial situation for myself. So if you do a resolution, it's like, I'm getting rich this year. Well, that doesn't mean anything. So the goal is more specific. So it's in your job, right? Yeah, wonderful. So let me catch everybody else who can't hear you. So a lot of people have this goal. It's like, I'm getting promoted this year. But then that's as far as they go. Now, getting promoted is a great goal, but you don't really have it. You don't know what to do with that. So now you've started to break down what it is that you need to do. You know that if you talk to 100 families and you're focusing on people that have kids and you're presenting this information to them, educating them, is it a certain number of people that you have to actually sign up for a service, or is it just having the conversation with people? 36. Mm-hmm. So hold on. So is it that if you have 100 conversations that you will probably get 36 people to actually sign up? Great. So this is exactly it. If you say I'm going to have 100 conversations, then that really is your goal, right? Now, of course, if you have the 100 conversations with somebody and you don't sign up 36 people and you don't get your promotion, then you don't. But that is on some level out of your control. You can't say, I'm going to make this person sign up. I'm going to make this promotion happen. You can only do the actions that take you in that direction. So you could also massage this a little bit with the numbers and say, uh, my goal is to have 50 conversations in the first half of the year, and if I'm not on track to get the promotion because I get 36 people to sign up, maybe I'll start having more conversations in the second half of the year. Or maybe you get there, 50 people, you already signed up the people that you need. You already get a promotion, so then you can change it to something else. Second half of the year, you can work on buying a boat or something. So this is really good. And you see how this is laid out because, well, we're almost there. We're very close. You remember the challenge of the week this week for your goal, the internal challenge? Is to take the first step. Now, if you think, what is the first step towards my goal, and you don't already know what that is, then that is definitely the level that you have to get to. So again, I like goals where I know what to do today. So today, what is the thing that you need to do, or today is almost over, so tomorrow, what is the thing that you need to do, the first step to make this happen? So start telling people. And you're going to just go out on the streets and be like, hey, or you're going to start emailing people or putting it on social media or what? All the above? Social media. Okay, great. So maybe the first step is I'm going to, on whatever XYZ social media site you want to use, you're on X, you're on Facebook, you're on Threads. Great. Good. This is great. So now we pretty much have a goal, right? You know what the actions are that you're going to take each day. So you're starting with this, and then you're going to start to actually, get people to commit to the time to have a conversation. And what is really good about this is it is very clear when you have reached your goal, because you've had X number of conversations and then your further goal of actually getting the promotion. You know when that happens, right? Not all goals have to be like that, right? So you can have a goal. I was talking to another one of the students, Kaya, and she is a writer, an artist, and she is also working on the side of it where she's like, I'm going to try to promote myself and make sure that I'm getting my work out there so that people can see it. And it's not always clear what that looks like. So another way that you can go about a goal like this, where you're not quite sure what each day's actions should be, is I'm just going to spend X amount of time each day working on this project, right? So let's say every single day between the hours of 10 and 12, I'm working on this thing. I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to do yet. I just know that I'm going to work on it. I'm not going to be answering other emails. I'm not going to be making other phone calls. I'm not going to be meditating. I'm not going to be watching TV. I'm working on this thing. And you'll start to notice that if you set aside that time and you're consistently doing it, then you'll come up with the right actions to take. So this was my suggestion to Kaya. Like, you don't necessarily know what all the things that there are for you to do to promote your work and promote yourself, but set aside the time. So you know that every day you're going to spend like this hour of every day working on this. And today it might be social media. Tomorrow it might be, actually writing more poetry, whatever it is. So that's another way to go about it. Does anybody else have a goal? And I'm not going to pick on you or pick apart your goal in a way that's mean. I'm going to do it in a constructive and helpful way, like I did with Mariam. So anybody else have a goal? You guys here can raise your hand, and you guys at home can press the button, and I think I'll be able to see you if you have a goal that you want to go over. And if anybody at home has one watching on Instagram, you can type it in, and I might be able to see it if you do it during the talk. So anybody have another one you want to talk about? Yes, Leslie. Nobody can see you or hear you, by the way. It's just me. Mm-hmm. I love this. So this is pretty specific, because a lot of people say, I'm going to get in shape this year, or I'm going to work out, but then they don't know what to do. So you're a little bit more specific. You're like, I want to gain more muscle, and you're going to do this by going to the gym and eating healthy, right? Now, this is really good. This is a good start. So if we were to make this even more specific, like, what is it that you're doing at the gym, or do you know what you're going to do? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. So you have specific exercises. You do them every single time you go there, or you do like every other day, you're switching exercises? Mm-hmm. This is great. So you've already started, which is wonderful. Now, do you have, because there has to be a time component to this, right? So hers was like, by the end of the year, I'm getting this promotion. So for you, this is something that you're doing a couple times a week. Are you going to stay on this schedule for a month or 6 months or a year or 10 years? What are you going to do? Just go until you're done. I got it. So here's my suggestion for you. Start with a period of time where you can reasonably expect to see some of the progress that you're looking for. It's not 1 week. It's probably at least a month or two. And I would say more like probably 3 months is what you're looking for before you're going to start to see and feel a difference, right? So maybe what you say is, I'm going 3 days a week. I already know the exercises that I'm doing every time, and I'm going to do this for 3 months at least. And then at the end of 3 months, I can decide this is working great. I'm going to keep doing it for 3 more months, or it's not working well enough. So I'm going to add a day or add some intensity or add another exercise or something like that. So having the time component to it is really important. So it's specific because the exercises that you're doing. If we're just taking the gym part of this, it's measurable because you're going you're going those days. Now this is different from, I want to add 5 pounds of muscle mass, which of course is possible to measure that. I don't know how to do it, but I'm sure somebody else out there knows how, and you could do it that way. But again, that is a little bit more out of our control versus I know what I can measure. Going 3 days a week is always in my control, unless your gym's on fire or you have COVID or something, right? But now that brings up another thing, because this is on something where you have kind of a set schedule each week. Now let's say that you do have a day. Let's say that you normally go on, what days do you normally go? All right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Friday, tomorrow, you wake up and you're deadly sick. You can't go to the gym. So what do you do in that situation? Home workout, okay, or you're so sick that you can't work out at all today. You'll make yourself more sick if you work out. So what do you do in that situation? Rest. Okay. Now it's up to you. You can say, if I'm sick, I am not doing it, and that's okay. That's built into my goal. Or you can say, and this is totally up to you. You can say, I'm going to make it up by going an extra day next week, or I'm going to make it up by, adding another 10 minutes of time each day that I go, or something like that. So consider this whenever you have a goal that's like a daily thing or a couple times a week thing. Know that life throws weird stuff at you. And it could be something very dramatic like a fire. It could be something like the sniffles. But you got to know that life goes like this. So when you're like this, it's super easy to keep going and achieve your goals and feel great about it. But when you're like this, the problem is when your momentum starts going this way, let's say you miss a day, what happens for most people is you miss one day, that's all it takes. The year is done. You're like, I said I was going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I skipped Friday. Well, I guess this year's over. I'll try again next year. And this happened to me. I had a goal a couple years ago of I'm going to be completely vegan this year, 100% vegan. I started the year off right. I went to like a inspirational talk, much like this one. I came back home and the ball dropped. It's like 12:05. I'm like feeling a little bit hungry. The first thing I do is grab a piece of chocolate. It's like 12:05 and I didn't look at the label. It had milk in it. The very first thing that I did in the new year was eat something that was not vegan. And so, of course, most people, and myself in the past, would say, well, guess I'm not doing that this year. I'll do it again next year. But what we want to be able to do is when we fall off, we just get right back on and continue like this little thing never happened, right? You miss a day, just get right back on it next week. And if you know yourself and you know yourself to be somebody who kind of has a tendency to give up easily, then you want to build that into your goal and say, okay, I know if I miss a day, I'm going to feel terrible about it and I might quit. So I'm going to tell myself that it's okay because I'll make it up next week and I'll feel great about that. So consider that. So this is good. It's specific. You know the exercises you're doing. It's measurable because you know the days that you're going. It's achievable. It's certainly something that you can do, right? How long have you been already doing this for?
Well, I actually started like last year, like the end of last year.
Okay.
The health wise, like
That's great. So we'll get into that next. Let's finish the gym part of it. It's achievable and reasonable. You know that you can do this, and there's a time component, right? So if you take, for example, you have the 3 days a week, that's a time component, but also how long are you doing it for? So does this 3 months sound good for you? You don't have to commit to this right now, but let's pretend at least for the sake of this conversation. 3 months I'm doing it for, and then at the end of that, then you can reassess and do something else. That's great. So let's talk about diet. Most people, again, they just say like, I'm going to be healthy this year. And maybe they get a little more specific and they say, I'm going to eat healthy this year. That's a nice wish. That's a fond, idea. It's not really real unless you have it laid out. So do you have specific things that you know that you're eating or things that you're avoiding and stuff like that? You're avoiding buying food. You're a freegan this year. As much stuff as I can get for free is great. That's wonderful. Okay, that's different from what I thought you were saying. I love this. So now I'm going to pick on you just a little bit. And I know we just met like 10 minutes ago, but when I hear try, I think this thing is not going to happen because as soon as you say try, then the next day happens and it's like, well, I said I was going to try, but I really want McDonald's today. So you want to say, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it X number of times a week or every day. How are you doing it? Every single day. You're not going out to eat ever. Okay, so Monday through Friday, that's what I do. And then on the weekend, you can go out, eat whatever you want. And this is great. It is also a smart idea to build in a little bit of leeway. Like I said, you miss a day and you can make it up, or it's like I'm going real hard Monday through Friday, and then I can relax on the weekends, and you can really enjoy it. Because if you've had a great I stuck to my diet Monday through Friday. Then Friday night comes around is when I would usually just go all out, or Saturday comes around and you're like, I can feel great about eating whatever I want now. And I can feel great about spending money out of the restaurant because I was real frugal all week and I ate super healthy. All I ate was spinach every day. So now I got to eat something. That's great. And how long are you going to do that for? Great. See how you feel. And if at the end of it you hate the food that you're eating, then you can change it and do something else. But this is the thing that I think a lot of us started doing during COVID, is starting to cook more at home. And now that we're stuck inside, on this side of town, at least, a lot of people are trying to spend more time inside. Good. Okay. Anybody else have a goal that they want to talk through? I'm gonna go look at these people at home. Nobody has their hand raised, huh? I just see smiling faces. Yes, Tanya.
So, Sifu, I'm wondering, how would you turn a very general goal, like this year I'd like to improve in sparring, other than committing to going to a certain number of practices a week, etc.? How would you approach a very general goal like that?
This is great. So first of all, it's not very general, Tanya. This is quite specific. You're used to the kinds of goals that we talk about, but compared to the stuff that most people are out there doing right now, this is pretty specific. So Tanya is in Paris and she practices martial arts there as well as practicing with us on Zoom. And so she goes and practices, does Aikido and a mixed martial arts class, and practices in a sparring class. How often do you do sparring class? I can't see you. You're tiny. Tell me.
Just once or twice a week.
Once or
Usually
twice a
once
week. So she's already trying to get ahead of me by saying, besides saying I'm going, at least once every week, or I'm going to 2 times every single week. Besides doing that, how else can we say this? Because we already know that you have to show up in martial arts. It's very simple. If you don't show up, you're not going to get better. You can't just hope that you get better. Just like hoping that you can eat more or get more muscle mass isn't going to do anything for you. You have to actually do the work. The hope might be the first thing, but then you have to choose the actions that you're taking. So showing up is great. Now, if you want to get a little bit more specific with this, again, you're saying I'm going X number of days for X amount of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Then I like the idea of setting an intention. So if you are trying to improve on your sparring, one of the issues with this is there are literally thousands of things that you can do that about to improve on sparring, not even thinking about the millions and billions of things that you don't even know about yet. So it can get very overwhelming to say, I'm going to get better at sparring. Well, what does that mean? Am I keeping my hands up? Am I snapping my strikes back? Am I working on defense? Am I making sure that I'm doing this specific technique better? And that is going to be up to you, what you choose. So an intention is something that I like to pair with something that might not be as easily measurable. So I had another great student a few days ago. I pinned her down after class on Zoom and made her tell me her goal. And this is a beautiful sentiment that she has. She says, I'm going to kind of weave a life of bliss. And she says, when my day pulls me in this direction, I can feel that this is going to be what's best for me, I'm going to do that. And when my day pulls me in this direction, I'm going to do that. And she's probably more a type A person who needs to just allow the flow to happen. And I said, that's great, but that's not a goal because it's totally not measurable. You don't know what that looks like. So what is measurable is setting the intention. So her goal that I told her to use, and she can do whatever she wants, but if I were to do this in my life, I would say, okay, every day when I wake up, I'm going to set the intention, and I have a reminder in my phone, let's say, or I have a thing that's written down on the mirror in the bathroom that I know I'm going to see every single day. And so I spend a few moments or a minute or two setting the intention for the day. Maybe I close my eyes, or maybe I do this in the beginning or end of meditation, and I think. I allow myself to feel myself flowing through bliss with my life. And therefore, maybe this day was super blissful, or maybe this day was absolute garbage, but you set the intention and that was your goal. And that setting the intention of doing X, Y, Z throughout the day is more likely to lead to those actions happening, right? So if we wanted to do a cop out for your goal, An easy way could be, I'm going to wake up and every day set the intention of getting stronger and set the intention of eating healthier. And then it should be leading you in the direction of eating and going to the gym. We could set the intention every day of, I'm going to help people today and be having these conversations, and I'm imagining myself every day for a few minutes being successful in these conversations and getting that promotion, and that's great. So for you, Tanya, you're already doing a lot of the work, which is great. So I suggest that for you, one of the options to kind of make this a little bit more directed is, before you show up to sparring class, or maybe in the moments right before its class is starting, you're setting this intention in your mind of a specific thing that you want to improve. And it can't just be, I'm going to get better at sparring today. Well, duh, you're in class for sparring. What is the specific thing you're working on this day? Okay, today I'm keeping my hands up no matter what happens. They punch me, they kick me, they sweep me, they choke me. Doesn't matter at all. I had my hands up the whole class. I got better at that. So that could be something that changes from class to class or even from partner to partner. Okay, but if you set the intention, and this is best if you do it before the thing that you're doing. If you're already halfway through class and you're like, shoot, I forgot to set my intention, then you're not going to get much out of it, of course. And then this gives you some leeway to kind of decide what you're going to work on that day. Maybe you're already feeling good about keeping your hands up, so you're going to work on snapping your kicks. But this very clearly quantifies this goal. It makes it a measurable thing. And this is, I'll dig into this a little bit more. One of the reasons that this is so important, that the goals are measurable and things that you can quantify, is so that you can recognize when you're making progress and you can allow yourself to celebrate that. So often we're doing things that we can't really quantify, and therefore we don't really know if we're getting better or not. And we think like, maybe I did it. Okay, I'm done with that. Or we think, I'm probably not making any improvement. I give up. So when we have this measurable success, you know that there is something, even if it is just purely the success of setting the intention every day, then that is something that you can feel good about. And that is something that gives you momentum. So much about setting goals and achieving them is momentum. So I'll tell you a little bit about my goals. I know this is really what you guys came here for, is to hear about my goals. One of them is to learn Mandarin. You can't learn Mandarin in a year, obviously. So I'm spending 15 minutes a day or completing one lesson a day on Duolingo, which I'm trying for the first time. I'm liking it. It's fun. And that's very simple. I know what I have to do every single day. And then at the end, I finish it and I feel great about it. I'm like, I did that thing today. I'm not an expert in Chinese. At the end of the year, ask me and I'll be able to say a couple of things maybe. But this is something that I know for me is very doable. It's very measurable. And then I already feel the momentum. I'm on my 14th day of this. I started a little bit before the end of the year, which, like you, this is the best way to do it, because you already have some momentum leading into the year. For some people, if you have waited until now, which I'm sure some of the people out there right now, you think, oh, the year's already getting away from me. Start today. Or if you cannot start today, start tomorrow. Remember, the goal for this week, or sorry, the challenge for this week is to take the first step. And the first step is momentum, right? If you're sitting here or standing here thinking about it, you have no momentum. As soon as you've taken the first step, it's like I'm at the top of the hill, right? When you're setting your goals, it's like you're on a hilltop or on a mountaintop. You're looking around. These are all the directions that I can go in. I can set this goal and go this way. I can set this goal and go this way. I can go wherever I want to, right? But if you just stay on the mountaintop, you're not actually going anywhere or achieving anything. So you choose a direction and then you take the first step. And if you're going down the hill, you really feel that momentum right away. It's like, ooh, now it becomes easier to keep going than it is to stop. Or the flip of that is because we're also lazy as human beings. This is part of the way that we need to set our goals, is so that it becomes harder for us to stop than it is to keep going. So we will often take the path of least resistance. So as soon as you have the momentum, it's like every day I wake up, it's easier to eat right. It's easier to go to the gym. It's easier to do the things that I said that I was going to do if you have already taken the first step. So since this is a meditation class, and since I have already talked for too long, I'll finish with this. An idea for you, if you have not already done this, is to set a goal around your meditation practice. Now, this, going back to what I said at the beginning of class, is kind of, bless you, paradoxical, almost like heretical. It's blasphemous to have goals and desires around your meditation, because kind of the purpose of meditation is to be free of desire and thoughts and all of that stuff. But let's be real. If you don't set some kind of a goal around your meditation, there's a very good chance that you just won't do it. So my first goal that I ever took on was, I believe, 20 minutes a day. This is when I first started practicing with my Sifu 25 years almost ago. And it was, I'm going to meditate every day for, I think it was for this year. I can't remember because it was a long time ago and I'm getting old. Let's just pretend. It was some amount of this amount of meditation every single day for some amount of time. It was either 6 months or a year. It was either 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So I like to look back fondly and give myself, puff myself up a little bit. So let's say that I did a half an hour every day for an entire year. And I got to the end of the year and, it's not like I was transformed into the Buddha. I was not the perfect person, far from it, but I had meditated every day and I certainly had made progress at the very least in that way. And then looking back on that year, I realized this is the first time that I've really set out to do something, to do it every day. And I felt amazing about having set that goal and having achieved it. So if you have not done this yet, I highly recommend this. It will be great for your meditation. It will be great for your goal setting, because you got one about this? What is it? Meditate and do Tai Chi every day. I love that. You practice for at least a couple of minutes every day. That's great. So what are you doing this year? Great. Now, do you have a minimum amount of time that you're doing it for? Do you have a minimum amount of time, at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What's the minimum? Great. So let's say you already did 5 minutes last year. So what's it going to be this year? Because we're making progress. I love that. Double it. Why not? You do that for a couple of years, you're going to have to be spending your entire day doing meditation. So 10 minutes is good. 10 minutes is good. So at least for 10 minutes every day, right? And this is a great place for you guys to start too. You might not be ready. I mean, when I first started practicing, I was all about it. I'm like, I'm jumping in with both feet. I'm going to do this all the time, every day. And for most people, it doesn't work. You have jobs. I was a kid when I started. So maybe it's, I'm going to do a minimum of 5 minutes of meditation every day. That's great. That is a wonderful start. And then maybe after a couple of months, you feel like this is too easy for me. I can up it. So then you'll add a little bit more. But think about, what is the minimum that I'm going to do? And with meditation, it is so important, again, to make it a habit. And one of the best things that I have ever heard somebody say about meditation and our practice and kind of our philosophy is that we are trying to break the habit of ego identification. The only way to really break a habit is to make a new habit that kind of counters it or replaces the old habit. So we have this habit of identifying as the small self, as the ego. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, this is me. I look like this. I have these shortcomings, and I love watching TV. And this is the small self, the ego identification. But when we meditate, this helps us to break that habit and kind of connect to something bigger, more important. It helps us to break the habit of ego identification by identifying with something bigger than ourselves, the universe, your Buddha nature, your soul, whatever it is that you believe. And the key word here is habit, right? It's not something that you are likely to just do in one meditation and then that's it. It is more likely to happen for you, and you're more likely to have the kind of progress or experiences that you want in your meditation practice if you're doing it daily, and if you're doing it for enough time to really make a difference. So 5 minutes is great because that's the start to doing it daily. And then you're more likely to have better, more full, deeper experiences if you're doing it for longer. So then aim for doing it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then you're really going to have something. So enough talking. Let's meditate. Sit comfortably. I'll go over some ideas of how to sit. You can sit cross-legged. You can sit on your knees. That's how I prefer it because it makes my hips feel the best. We're going to do a short meditation. It's only going to be like 7-8 minutes long. But you want to set yourself up for success even with a longer meditation. So sitting in a comfortable position with a good posture is important. Your hands are at your hips and upturned. They can be together or separate. You don't want your shoulders slouching, so roll your shoulders back and relax. Keep your chin parallel to the ground. Your eyes are closed and upturned. You can think about looking up at the point between your eyebrows. And breathe. So you have nothing to accomplish right now. You are already doing it by sitting and breathing. When your mind wanders, simply bring it back to the breath. And that is your goal, and that is success for this. Is just whenever you recognize your wandering mind, refocus it back on the breath. And then you can allow yourself to even have a little bit of a celebration there. That's what we're trying to do, is refocus on the breath. And keep doing that as many times as you can for the next few minutes.